Okay, Clark, I got the videos came in this time, so let's take a look here. And take a look in real time. Okay, so hand Z. Let's take a look at it again. And in iron, now these are both down frame. I didn't get one face on. So I can't see her grip. But your setup, posture, and balance look pretty good. Club is inside very quickly, so we'll watch what happens with that. It's fanned a tad open. So when you get halfway back with your lead arm parallel to the ground, you're at the kind of the midpoint of the swing. So you go from here to here, pretty good. Hands in the middle of the body. Good turn. Club face fairly square at the top. Your progression is pretty good. And this inside thing could matter in a minute, I don't know yet. Steep transition. Golf club handle wants to point, Golf club handle, the club wants to point at the ball as soon as you can in the downswing. So you're looking at 20 degrees steeper, and what the effect on that, see, all good players at the top lay it down. If you've read my articles, you probably see the club there. Now watch it. That's a flattening. That's a flattening. Elbow in, flat left wrist. He's recupping the right wrist and he's laying it down. You gotta notice what's happening here. This goes here and there. That move right there is, you won't find, I've never found a good player not doing some degree of it. Phil Mickelson's maybe the real rare exception. But that's also why he has always struggled with his driver, I think, because he gets down very, very steeply. And that's what you're doing here. Now, the negative effect on that is that it's opening the face. So when you take a fairly square face there and pull it straight down, instead of pulling it more out toward the golf ball, you're opening the face, which is right there. That face is open. Now, what you have to do from that point is square it. You see his is pointed more up at the sky. What you have to do is square it because you're stuck in an open position. and you'll have to find some way to square the club and to drop it back onto the plane. So what you do is, I'm going to bring him down. Your lead arm there is parallel to the ground, yes? Okay, his lead arm is parallel to the ground. One of the things, another characteristic we see in all great players, is we only see one knee at this point. In other words, the belt, the hips have already started to shift to open. By the time they get down to the ball, we can see a lot of the butt. And what happens for you is we see none of that of the turn, what I call turn through part, right? So your belt buckle's still looking at the ball. There's no rotation of your lower body. Now, the way this works is you sort of have to do that because of that steep transition. A leads to B. In other words, the primary cause of the root cause of the problem here is a very steep transition which opened the club face in your swing. It was good until then. When you started down steeply, now the rest of your downswing is kind of devising a way to square that base. And if I stop my hips and flip my hands, I'll get it back to square. I can draw it. I can sometimes block it or hook it from there, but I can bail out a little bit and flip it over. Okay. He doesn't have to do that. He just keeps working the club to the left. And you can see where your finish is there, high up around the neck area, which is a sign of what I call straight line swing. Swinging right down the target line because the body's not rotating. And this is much more over to the left side and through the rib cage or armpit because of the rotation of the body. So if you work with a physical trainer, what I would do is, so you're not over the top at all. You're inside. You're a little bit early with the release, but you're bailing out because you're not clearing out. In other words, you're going to drop kick it from inside with a little bit of an early release if you don't bail out. And you can see where you're bailing out here. You watch here. Up and out of it so that it impact there, which is right about there. This one was on the toe a little bit, it looks like, because the club face opened. If you watch this, you see the club face open there. After you've hit it, that's not you, that's the club face. That's the strike on the toe that does that. So I want to show you the difference here. You're here, right? And at impact, you're here. So you're 10 degrees more up, no clear, with the lower body. In other words, no rotation of the lower body, still flat-footed. Now we take this guy here back to the address position, and this is just one of many. It's not that I am promoting Garcia's swing, but he does demonstrate a few positions which help a lot of my students. He starts there, and at impact he's there. The only thing that's happened is that the hands have moved a little bit forward, the body's opened a lot, the right foot's already off the ground, and he's right back on the plane that he started. And you can't return shaft plane any better than that. And your case is very similar to a lot of club golfers and lower handicap golfers particularly. You're making it work. You're fitting it in is what I call it. And see that right here, how long it stays on the ground? And the hands are flipping over. That's no lower body, no rotation support, I call it. And that's why we finish up there. So That's the biggest thing that you would need. Now, when you come through the golf ball real straight like that, from the inside straight down the line, or even inside out, in TrackMan your path may measure a little bit inside out, from underneath, inside, flipped over. You can learn to play like that, and you probably have. If you're asking me what you should work on, it would be more rotation with your body to support the club head going through, and you wouldn't have to be so reliant on your hands. Now, I'd have to see your grip to be sure that to know exactly what you're doing there. And this is your driver. Again, the setup isn't bad. I can't see the grip, but the posture is pretty good. Club right, right pretty much through where we want it to be. Stuck way inside again. Now see, at that point it's closed. Inside and closed. And there it's very open. And again, the transition is steep. Inside, bail out, flip or not flip. So you'll get blocks or hooks for your misses and occasional drop kicks because of coming from the inside with a little bit of an early release. See this club right here? This club could be all the way over here by now, Clark. It could be out of the picture going to the left. The club does not chase the ball down line. The club actually goes left immediately after you've hit it. There's that transition that I'm talking about. Point it at or outside the golf ball. This is Koepka. This guy's a beast. But see the transition to the left, as soon as it hits it, off to the left, because the body is very much rotating. Now, of course you can't do it like that. These are world-class athletes in the prime of their life. And as you know, you don't play golf for a living. But why I put these comparative videos up for all my students, it'll just demonstrate a few positions for you to work on. One leads to the other. When you start down steeply and the club face opens, you have to flip the club over to square it. And that doesn't, in other words, if you actually did turn through with that transition, you'd hit everything with a big block to the right. But you've learned to play by trying to start it down the right side and bring it back, I'm sure. And that's, that's a matching part. So how much you want to do with this, I don't know. The first thing I'd do is I would hit balls this summer. I would hit balls this winter if you have access to anywhere. I don't know where you live, but it looks like it's a cold weather area. Above your feet. I give a lot of my students the ball above the feet drill. So you feel a more horizontal transition. And as you're swinging horizontally like that, flattening that transition, coming in on more of a baseball plane, or picture someone skipping a stone across a pond, then you will start to add to that your body turn through. That would be a more consistent way to swing. Now, I think you said your handicap is pretty low single digits, I think you told me. So I always caution people, if I had you in my school, this is what I would do. I'd flatten that transition and get you to use your body and be more consistent. But swing changes after a certain point are risky. The other thing where this will come into it is your little wedge shots around the green. If you don't turn through your little pitch shots, you can really get stuck from time to time. So I think that turn through motion, where once you start down with a flatter transition, you get that left hip out of there. Since it's baseball season, we'll think along the lines of left hip to the third base dugout. And that would help you be less handsy and control the face a little bit more. All right, that's what I see. So we'll start with that and let me know how you're doing. I'm in Naples, Florida, if you want to get away for the winter and come down and work on it. All right, thanks, Clark.